Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and this is our third video in a series about learning Latin. Now this one, you could actually do it for free or kind of expensive. Okay, so this page you see here is a sample page that you can print off the internet on how to get the Douay-Rheims and Clementina Vulgate side by side. You can see here on the right is the Latin, that is the Clementina Vulgate, and on the left is the Douy-Rhymes. Now it sounds super exciting, and it's got the notes. You see the notes here at the bottom. It's got all that. Great, great, great. You need to get a hardware ruler. I had a classroom ruler, and you print this out to check. You check to make sure it lines up. See, it goes well for 1 inch, but it doesn't after that. This is not a good quality hardware ruler. This is a classroom ruler. You check it across the bottom and the side to know that this is true to size. If it's true to size, that's showing you the size of the print in the Bible should you buy it. This Bible's $100, so you're going to want to make sure you can read it before you get it. I really like the idea of a physical book, and in fact, like the day after I saw this, I found $100 in an old coat pocket, and I was super excited, but it's $100, and it's really small print. So I'm still torn. I do really love these translations, though. So super torn. But what I'm doing for now, you can see I've got out the New Advent website. And in fact, didn't our friend Victoria Brant tell us about this one? Let me come down here. Look right here. It's funny because here's the Knox Bible, which she also mentioned, which is kind of funny. So what do we have here in our columns? We have Greek, English, and Latin. Now I don't know which translations these are. Let's come up here. Does it tell us? It does not. This is at newadvent.org. It's the Bible they have on. So you can see what I've been doing is every night I've been going through and reading it. The advantage in using my iPad or my phone, actually I normally read it on my phone, is I can make the print super big. So this is free. I believe New Advent does accept donations. I could be wrong there, but I think they at least used to. So look how big that is. That's lovely. And when I'm not sure of a word or I want to check it, I can pop over here to the English. So one way you can study this that I've found is really good. Okay, in principio, I know that word comes up a lot when I do the liturgy, the hours, the little office, the Blessed Virgin Mary. That word comes up a lot. Beginning, right? Creavit, that's not, the clauses aren't forming the same spot, but I bet it has something to do with creation. Caelum et terram. If you say the Lord's Prayer, you should know those words. And look here, though. Deus, Dei, Deus, Diem. Those words probably all mean God, right? So if you wanted to do a study for yourself, I would go ahead and look Deus up in a Latin dictionary and find out what exactly they mean. Does one of them, we discussed yesterday, so one of them probably means like of God. One might mean for God. One might be an action that God's going to say. Like, what is the purpose in the sentence? You tell that by the ending. And so that would be a great study. You know the word Deus, Deo, it's going to come up tons of times in the Bible. So that is one word. If you're going to study the endings, I would learn that one. And you can see Caelum et terram comes up all the time. Okay, we're in Genesis, so of course it's going to come up. But I feel like it's going to come up a lot of times anyway. Other words that I found came up a lot. Okay, spiritus, I think you've got that one, but again, you can check that word out. Super comes up a lot. Dixit que and dixit, a lot. A lot of these words are repeated over and over and over. And so if you write yourself a little vocabulary list, I think Victoria was doing that for the kids, right? You could come up with a little, find words that you're coming across a lot, and write yourself out little notes, maybe make little note cards. You know, hey, why not? Get your old-fashioned index cards out and start studying some of the words that you notice are coming up a lot. So what I'm doing is not really reading for understanding. I'm just literally, I am reading a chapter a night in Genesis in Latin. And every now and then I pop over to check that I'm understanding it the right way. See, I'm starting with Genesis because I pretty much know the stories, right? And I do read any of the notes when they come up. Absolutely. Oh, silly me. This is the Knox translation in the middle. What fun. Yeah, and retypeset and published 2012 by Baroness Press. Well, there we go. Sorry. Baronius Press. Dun, dun, dun. And so, yeah, anytime my words are coming up over and over, I'm looking them up so that I know them better. I'm just doing one chapter a night, like I said. And I'll tell you, friends, it's like a life changer for me, and I'm not even understanding it word for word, but reading it in Latin, and I am reading it out loud. It's driving the dog nuts, but reading it out loud is helping my mouth to get used to forming the words as well. And a lot of the words, starting in Genesis, you're going to know a lot more of these words than you think you know. That's what I'm finding. And so you're going to get used to pronouncing them as well, because you already know, like you hear it when you do the Lord's Prayer or Ave Maria, very common prayers. A lot of these words are in, and so you know how to say them properly. And so this is just a great starting place. I think it's really fun too, especially if you're going to do it with kids. You could read them a sentence and they can guess what the word is. I think it's really fun. Advantages and disadvantages here. On one hand, I would love to be able to carry around a book, but two, it's going to be a chunky monkey, big, heavy book. So wherever I put it is probably where it's going to stay. Lovely, wonderful. And that's a great idea for studying, because maybe that's going to get you not to sit in bed and read it at night, or, you know, maybe not take it out some crazy places. It's always going to be one place in your house, and people are going to know where to get it. A great place to keep this then would be at a little prayer shrine that you have up, or little, you know, if you have that set up on a bookcase, you could have it right under there so people know to always go and grab it there and go study. But also, I kind of like having it on my phone because it's accessible all the time. The problem is all the temptations that come with having the phone, you know, going to YouTube, going to Twitter. And even if I'm going to Twitter to collect prayer requests and to pray for people, that's why I've set a goal of one chapter a night. I try and do that before I get on Twitter and get distracted. I love going on Twitter right before I go to bed because I am collecting those prayer requests, and I like to add those into my night prayers. So what I like to do, what I'm trying to set a habit of doing, is one chapter of this. Set a time limit for Twitter, 5 minutes, whatever, and then go straight into whatever version of night prayer I am doing that night. So I'm setting that little routine. It's helping me stay focused when I do it, do what I need to do in those areas. Sure, if there's some night that somebody's got something really heavy burden on them on Twitter, I may spend a little bit more time. But I'm going to try and keep to that one chapter in Genesis. Well, I guess I'll just end up doing one chapter a night of whatever book. I'll get through Genesis eventually. So one chapter here. And maybe what I'll do is start writing down a little post-it note, words that are coming up a lot, and then I can look them up in the day tomorrow. Friends, wouldn't that be a great way to start your morning? So you get up, you do all your routine chores that you need to do in the morning, right? And then you're going to, again, set a time limit. Set a time limit because you need to stop and get right with the Lord. I don't do that first because I'm not as clear-headed. I may have forgot my glasses. Like the dog needs to take his medicine at a certain time. But I need to start setting a time of day where I'm going to sit down then, right? Because we have a time of day where we sit down and say morning prayer. And maybe after morning prayer, I'm going to pull out my post-it note and pick some of the words on my post-it note from the night before and look those words up. That would be a great way to transition and go back off and start my day's work. Oh, that is such a fun idea. Okay, totally in love with that idea now. I won't lie. I am in love with that idea. That's my new plan. So that's probably what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do this for a while. And if I get stuck, you know, see how it's going. Am I really continually growing with doing this practice? Or is it something that I'm going to need to stop and go into one of those more formal books on Latin? I don't know. But right now, this is working. And I think that's a great idea. Or I could pull out that Ecclesiastical Latin or Henley Latin book. They are probably going to really help me with some of those words. Maybe I'm going to look up those words in those books, those two books, because they do have church Latin in them. So they could be great ones to just open up and go straight, use that as my resource. It's another great idea. Okay, I'm in love with all these ideas. And then if I wanted some fun, of course, I could go in and do the Lingua Latina or do the Cambridge Latin, because those are more story-based. So they'd be for fun, you know, on the weekend or whatever, or a night when there's nothing on TV that is worthy of my attention. I could go read a little story about Caecilius. Friends, this is turning into a beautiful study. I love it when I come up with plans with you. You may not even know you're participating, but I thank you all for your prayers all the time. It's so much. And I love when people are putting prayer requests down there. Please, friends, do not forget right now our friends in India, as well as our friends in Africa, and just other regions that don't really have access to medical care. You know, I live in the suburbs and I can do the teledoc. I have doctor's offices right down the street, right? And it's no big deal for me. And, you know, pandemic wise, we isolate ourselves most of the time here in our house, and it's so easy for us. For them, it's easy to isolate yourself, a lot of people, but then they live in rural areas where they may not have access to doctors. And even if we're sending help over to their countries, that doesn't mean that it's getting to the poor and the people out in the country. So we need to be very careful and thoughtful and prayerful about where we send our money to make sure that it is getting to the right people, right, friends? We really need to pray for the leaders of governments and agencies around the world, that they are doing their best to get things to everyone. And it's hard for us to remember that because it's just not in our experience, friends. But we really need to be praying for them. As you know, as always, Matemwa is a great site for you to donate to with the John Bradburn Memorial Society. So God bless you, friends. I hope you find something, whether you order this one or go with the New Advent free Bible. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and check this out as well. See how I can support them. I bet it's here. I bet it's here somewhere. We've gotten the Summa from them before. I bet there's more here. I'm going to put this in the description below. Remember to check your descriptions. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what's working for you. God bless you, friends.